elements of a roguelike. And it's a very fun game. You know, when I got a PS5, obviously, I knew I was going to play Demon's Souls, but this was the other game that I was really excited for. And funny enough, I actually played this game first before Demon's Souls, because I thought it would be a straightforward, fun game with not much to it. And then I realized, oh, it's actually got boss fights and like a lot of depth and lore, and it's way more complex than I thought. So this video, as you've probably already noticed, is going to be a little quote-unquote unprofessional, shall we say, compared to my other video game related ones, because I didn't know that I was going to do a video game video on Returnal, and it just sort of happened that as I was playing through, I was like, oh, there's actually some good substance to this game, so I'm going to record it. And that's why I'm sorry, but I don't have any of the house sequences recorded, because again, I wasn't planning on it, right? And I didn't really have like many of the intro, the cutscenes and stuff, so there'll be a bit of the cutscenes in there that I did record, and obviously all the boss fights. But yeah, so this will be my first victory over each boss, which is not an easy task in this game. And you can see here, I managed to have some footage saved of me doing one of these like challenge rooms, and it's these big kill box rooms where you like get locked in and you gotta survive against 3 waves of enemies, and it's not easy. And early game, you're still figuring out how this all works, and I hadn't really gotten good yet, because that is the big thing to this game, is what's the trick will get good, scrub. But there are a few other tips and tricks. One is that people recommended that you change the size of your aiming reticule to maximum, which I hadn't done yet at this point, but you'll see the reticule is larger in later footage. And it's also important to, not necessarily to try to stick to the same gun, but like the way the guns work in this game is that like the more you use a gun with a certain trait or ability, the more you level that ability up, and that ability stays leveled up and unlocked once you find that weapon, so that doesn't get reset, because this game's a roguelike, so you lose most of your progress when you die, like all your health upgrades and all of your XP or your weapon proficiency, shall we say. And you have parasites and artifacts and all these things, and I guess throughout this video I'll kind of try to go over the gameplay, the way this game works, and my advice for it, because there is some lore to this, and there are some fun things to talk about with the boss fights, but I can't really offer too many tips other than the good old cyber demon tip, and that is shoot it until it dies. Shoot it until it dies. So here we go, spear landing, except not. As my first tip is always dash at the last second when you're going from a big fall, and when you hear the sound when you're going down, because you don't get locked into doing the superhero landing animation. And also there's a parasite. A lot of times you can get parasites in this game. They're basically like they give you a buff and a debuff, and it's like a risk reward sort of thing. You gotta choose whether it's worth it or not to take that parasite. And I find one that I see a lot is one some kind of a boost, but the trade-off is that you take fall damage, because normally you wouldn't. So I find it's just nice to always be in the state of mind that you do take fall damage unless you dash, because then if you do get that parasite, then you're instinctively negating the fall damage debuff from it. So anyway, this is a boss fight here, and it's Phrike. I believe that some of these guys have weird names, and I think all of the bosses are named after like Greek gods, because there's talks of Prometheus and Helios and Selene, Astra, and Phrike. So a lot of references to those things, and I think, of course, they picked the random ass obscure ones sometimes. And I think it's all to do with the stages of grief and acceptance and despair and anger and bargaining. Yeah, stuff like that. So obviously the main thing is that these guys, boss fights, kind of have a lot of an element of a bullet hell to them, and it's lots of big glowy projectiles, and you dodge them. In a way, I think what I love about this game is its little bits and elements of things I like from a whole bunch of games, and it's all wrapped up into one. Like, it's got a lot of that Alien Covenant, Prometheus, sci-fi imagery, and oh, I died. But no, just kidding. That's the trick with this game. I can come back. Yeah, there's this was funny, I didn't know it, but you get a little artifact called the astronaut figure, and it's basically an extra life. So if you can get the astronaut figure, that's a good thing to have. Extra life. But yeah, it's got that Alien Covenant, Prometheus kind of imagery in this first area, and it's got a weird time loop mechanic. That's pretty cool. It's got the dodge the glowy balls of death like Nier Automata, but it's also got giant kill box rooms full of aliens like Doom and Dead Space, and it's also relentlessly difficult, and you die a lot, and it makes me want to smash my head against a wall. So that's very much like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and all that fun stuff. And it's got lots of cool guns and weapons, and kind of gives me that Mass Effect Andromeda vibe, which is also cool because I didn't care much for the story in that game, but the gameplay was fun. If it was done in a better game, right? But yeah, you see, the main thing is, of course, is you gotta learn his attack patterns, and then you become Fantasy Batman. Right? You gotta dodge the melee. Note that you can't iframe through the purple balls. Those ones are a little different with your dash ability. Yeah. And every time you beat a boss, then near the end, there's like special items you get. Here, this is like a data cube. And I'm trying to think about the data cubes. There's special ones that you get, and those are to do with again, unlocking the secret ending. And you have to find a special data cube in each area, and there's a chance it might not spawn, and because the areas are randomly generated, like not completely random. It's like taking a deck of cards and shuffling the deck of cards, and that determines the order of areas you're going to get. There is some sort of an order to it. It's not like completely randomized. So that was the first area, and you'll forgive me, this has actually been a while between me playing this game and me making this video, because I recorded it in the summer, but then I knew I was gonna make the Demon's Souls video, the first PS5 gameplay video. It was kind of like a fun surprise, like, yo, guess what? But then I had to wait to do the Demon's Souls video until New Year's Eve, so it was the same day as the other one, right? Yeah, so I'm trying to remember the names. There's like that ruins or whatever, but it's not the echoing ones. And this is, I don't know, like the Doom Hell place. And you get all these audio logs from previous incarnations of Selene. Because the main thing is that she is investigating the White Shadow signal, this weird broadcast. And then basically her ship crashes here. She goes to investigate, and then she dies, but finds out that she can still come back to life. And every time she dies, the planets reset and things are different. And this guy here, this guy doesn't mess around. Like, when you see the big orangey glowing thing, that's when you're like, you need to run. And these guys are really evil because they shoot projectiles that give you malfunctions. The malfunctions in this game, it's another kind of a debuff challenge thing. You'll see when I get hit by some of the projectiles, basically. So as you can see, it's like I have a debuff. I lose oblites when I take damage. But then if I collect enough of them, I can get rid of it. Or you can do what I did there, and I had a consumable that removes all malfunctions, and that's always a good one to have on you. And then the guy's real evil because he explodes into a bunch of particle effects at the end, right? So yeah, some of those boss guys that you gotta fight, the mini bosses, in a way, I find them more difficult than some of the actual bosses. And yeah, once again, I'm using the carbine weapon. I find at the start of the game, you don't get that many great weapons. You have a pistol, which is your starting pistol. You're gonna trade that out. And then there's the carbine, which I think is a pretty good, reliable gun, and it's got a lot of great upgrades, like leech rounds that heal you. Basically, if you get any kind of item that heals you, you're pretty good to go. Like there's the adrenaline leech consumable, or no, adrenaline leech is the artifact, and then there's the damage siphon consumable, which I have active for now. And basically those mean that if you have an adrenaline boost level, that you can heal yourself at a rate close to the damage you output based on your adrenaline level. And the adrenaline level is basically like a kill streak. The more guys you kill without taking damage, the higher your adrenaline is, and every adrenaline level gives you a boost. So I think, like, there's the first adrenaline thing, it kind of lets you see enemies through walls, it's improved vision. And then another one is, once you reach, I think it's like 50% more obolites, or oblites, as the currency, basically. And this is where, like, oh, okay, you have to jump over the big glowy blue wave of death. So there goes my healing factor. Yeah, damage siphon, adrenaline leech, those are the best things. And then you got the leech rounds on a carbine, but you can get them. I don't have them on this carbine. And the way the weapon he's another Greek god name, and he means something to do with the stages of depression, right? Like, it's like, oh, I don't remember them off the top of my head. It's like bargaining and anger and grief, and then finally acceptance. Because there's a whole lot of theories about this game and what it all means. And for some people, if they don't like the whole David Lynchian, like, this thing represents the character's inner turmoil and struggle, like, then I don't know if they'd be fans of the story in this game, because that is definitely a big part of it. I, of course, am very much into all that psychological representation, memory, art sort ofness. So I'm okay that the game is doing it. In fact, when playing through, I was getting pretty hyped for it to have a twist about it being all representative, and I was kind of piecing together like the little clues here and there. So I'm might eventually start talking some spoilers. So if you've watched this far because you were wondering, how do I get past the first part of the game, I'd say, like, don't be mad about doing a couple runs where all you do is get into a bit of a small room and die right away. Next, like, turn up like the auto aim, turn up the size of your reticule. That definitely helps. Be a little ballsy, a little risky when it comes to grabbing certain items and upgrades and stuff. But don't go too all out on it. Like, what I mean by that is, there's the malfunctions you can get, right? And you're thinking, well, okay, I just won't get hit by an enemy that gives a malfunction. But the thing is that a lot of times the best items are hidden in malignant containers, or there's malignant items, and that has a chance to give you a malfunction. So I'd say, like, if you get one malfunction, like, don't risk getting a second one, because if you get 3 malfunctions, then it's a critical one, and that basically, like, will get rid of one of your artifacts or your abilities for the rest of that run. Don't spend all of your ether. Save a little bit of it for the Chthonios machine at the starting area, because it can give you a nice boost or a buff to start off your run. And it unlocks some pretty cool ones from there. Like I said, keep an eye out for the astronaut figure. That's basically your extra life. Try to get good at doing the active reload, as you can see, because that'll help again, make you reload faster. Keep an eye out for the store. Lots of good stuff in the store. Yeah, like I say, it's like a balance, You gotta be a little risky and stuff, but don't get too discouraged. Right? You keep at it, and eventually you'll build yourself up. And again, the same thing goes for the weapons, because the weapons will unlock new abilities the more you use them. What was another thing the health, yeah. So, basically, try to save the health upgrades until you have full health, because the way the resin works is, if you have full health and you pick up a health item, it increases a slot. It fills a slot towards the maximum integrity upgrade. So basically, if you have full health and you pick up a newer thing, then it makes it so you'll be closer to getting more maximum health. So that's good to know, larger health bar, right? That's how I maxed out my health bar. I think you can get it up to 300%. And the other thing So yeah, now we can go and just yeet our way across the stars. Whee! And I forgot to not do the superhero landing. So yeah, but I see there's goodies up there, and can I get in there? Oh, I did. Very nice. And it's some ether. Anybody want some ether? No? How about a beer? And, oh dear, save me through the power of editing. So now here we move through that area, and it's like every time you get to the end, you get to like a new gateway. So in here in this new area, we've got these guys. What are they? Not the Remnant, the Fallen, the Forsaken. They've always got these names: the Prometheans, the long forgotten ones. Oh right, of course, the Severed. As these ones were cut off because there's this whole story about this planet and it having like an infection to it, and these ones were cut off to remove the infection. They're the Severed. You know, these were the essential workers, right? And yeah, these guys are quite tough, but as tough as they are, they get even more tough later on in the game, or more tougherest, the toughest of enemies. Tough set. Again, it's all about learning attack patterns and figuring out the way these guys work. Like, the main thing with them is they kind of do a weird tether thing, and that's kind of your cue that they're about to teleport onto you and do a melee. Oh, also, do not underestimate the power of the sword. In this game, your melee weapon is actually very good at stunning enemies. You might not be able to see, but they've got like a little like stagger meter to them. And, you know, if you knock that down, then they get staggered, right? And I'm pretty sure using the sword is like a very surefire way to like lower the stagger meter. So you get that plus the sword upgrade, right? Anything that increases melee damage, very good tool to use. Do not be afraid to get up close in their face. Yeah, so there is a whole story about the planet and everything, but also, like, I feel that it's a lot of metaphorical stuff because, you know, I'm playing through it and I'm like, why is it that Celine, our protagonist, why does she talk so fondly about her spaceship, Helios? Like, she's always like, I made it, but Helios did not survive, right? And she's always like, Helios this, and she always wakes up from the crash like, oh no, Helios. And then I was like, the way they have, not like the way it's shot, but you know, the way it's shown, like the spaceship crashing, it almost looks like a car crash. Like the way, like, you know, there's that typical thing in a car crash when like the tire spins around. They do a thing like that. And then it always flashes a message when you leave the ship, like a big message on screen, warning, Helios abandoned. And I'm kind of like, oh, well, yeah, obviously I'm like leaving the starting area, like, what does it matter? I'm like, oh, I see. So there's a lot of stuff like that. I'm like, is this some kind of thing where like this is all about her like abandoning her child in a car crash or something, and like she's in a coma, or I don't know exactly. And then it gets even more complex like that, because then maybe there was 2 car crashes, and then her mother is an astronaut, but there's a weird astronaut following her. But then the astronaut was her all along. There's a lot to unpack here, shall we this fight is Nemesis. No, he's not saying anything about stars. But, still a pretty cool fight. Definitely the most Doom Eternal of fights in this game. And I like how this guy almost feels like he's the big epic boss. Like there's crazy bullet hells and so much stuff going on, and there's fire and demons, and you've ascended the tower to locate the White Shadow broadcast, and all this stuff's going on. It's absolutely crazy. The particle effects are out of this world, because it's meant to sell you that this is the end of the story, right? I know the boss fights after aren't as crazy as this guy. That's because, again, they had to sell you about this being the fake final boss of the game. And yeah, talk about fun phase changes. The other two bosses in their phases, Phrike and Ixion, however you say it, they were okay, so they unlock new attack patterns, and the one guy, he pulls out his second sword. But this guy's right, so the platform gets moved, and you remember that cool tool you've unlocked? Well, now you gotta use that and do a bunch of parkour to get over to the boss. And I didn't realize until another playthrough I did, but those guys on the side shooting at you, I think you can damage and kill them, because I had an upgrade that sends out an electrical shock every time you do a proper active reload, like a special overload or something like that. And then I noticed my adrenaline level was going up, and I was like, how? And I realized because the shock from me doing the active reload was killing those guys on the side. So that's pretty cool. And then when you this is the third area, so when you get into here, if you've played through all the other three areas, hopefully you've got your weapon proficiency half decently leveled up. As you can see, mine is maxed out. But if you want, you also unlock the ability to skip directly from Biome 1 to Biome 3. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend that. I know that there are little weapon proficiency upgrades. They intentionally put ones that'll level you up far if you're skipping an area, but you do miss out on a lot more chances for other upgrades, for health and artifacts. So I'd say just speed run through all the biomes, and then we get to this phase, and I'm floating in midair, what do I do? And I'm like, oh, there's a platform, and then I'm like, wait, what do I've got to jump from platform to platform to get to the guy. Oh man, that's great. That's such a cool idea. This third phase is all about the epic of epicness. He's got all his minions shooting at you, and it's off in the distance, and there's lasers, and they're destroying platforms, and I don't know if you can fall into the abyss in this fight, but the threat of it potentially happening was enough to keep me on edge. And they're destroying all your platforms. Yeah, it's done a great job of building up your parkour skills with the grappling hook. And I was like, oh, okay, so he knocks you back after a certain bit of time. So you gotta get there fast enough so you can barrel stuff him, basically. And you can actually do that with certain guns. I'm like, oh no, where's the platform? There we go. The Dreadbound is a gun you'll probably see me use later, and it's a very high risk, high reward gun, and it kind of sucks for the first two phases of this fight, but it's beautiful back instantly, and if you're firing at longer distances, it's going to take longer. And it especially sucks in some of the more open areas where you could shoot a shot off into the far regions of space and wait for a while to come back. But I think it's a pretty fun gun. There's a lot of fun ways to use it. And then the shotgun is actually pretty good for that final phase, because you can just float on down to his heart and barrel stuff him. But yeah, some of the guns in the first area are not the greatest. There's this other one that I like. I played a decent amount of this game, and I like never saw it. And I think it's called like the Rotland Globber, or the Rotgland Lobber, or something. Rotgland Globber, Rotgland Lobber, something like that. And I've seen people on Reddit like really hype up that gun and talk about how, oh, it's so good, it's underrated. But then I've like never seen it. Like the game just knows I like the Dreadbound or the Hollow Seeker. I just like those guns, and so I stick with them. But yeah, that's my other point. Like I've mentioned already, but trust me, like if the game seems hard, like really focus on finding guns with certain upgrades and using them so you can unlock them, because that's how it is. Like this gun has all of its levels maxed out, but if there's other ones you'd see like Rising Pitch or Leech Rounds, and like level 1, 2, and 3 just over my health bar, stuff that I'd be leveling up. So it really pays off to level up all the traits on a gun. And then the higher your proficiency, the more chance you'll get a high level gun. So those are good tips to work on. And yeah, I think I had a thing here that was like increased damage protection on lower health, lower integrity. So you see that I took a direct hit from a pretty large shot there, and it barely damaged me. I'm like, alright, I've almost got you down. I can do this. I think I had a astronaut figure here, so I wasn't too worried. I mean, if I did have criticisms of this game, well, one of the main ones that it's not really relevant anymore, but it was when I played it, and that is there's no save function. You basically put your console into rest mode and hope that your power doesn't go out or that your PS5 doesn't restart. And I had that happen once. I had a run saved in rest mode and the power went out, so I lost the progress. And the runs in this game take quite a long time. Like, you're gonna have to be sitting down for well over an hour for a run in this game, a decent run, right? Because you gotta go through 3 whole biomes, and yeah, it gets easier over time, you get better at it, but still, that's a lot when you consider other roguelike games. Runs in that are like 5 minutes maximum, right? As the idea is that if I have a big run and then I die, I don't necessarily want to jump back in and play another one, right? A little bit of a flaw in its roguelike structure. But I know that, of course, just after I beat the game, they come up with the update that there's a photo mode and an actual proper, like, suspend cycle function. So that's been fixed, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. And yeah, this is, man, such a great moment here, such a brilliant twist. Because, again, that felt like a pretty final boss, and your whole thing was reach the White Shadow broadcast. And at first I thought, oh, is it going to be we reach the White Shadow broadcast, and then, oh no, we actually have to go somewhere else. And it's like, no, we found it, and we got off the planet. I'm like, oh, and this isn't a dream. Like, no, we're going back to our house, so she's back home living her life, and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna happen that she just dies of natural causes, and then she wakes up on the planet again, isn't it? And it's like, oh, there's the grave, and this is her funeral, and I'm like, oh no, senoritas, no. Like, there's that ominous shot, and one last person looks in. I don't know if she had a daughter or not, or if it's a younger version of her, and I'm like, oh no, we're gonna wake up back on the planet, aren't we? Wait for it. Legendary. That was a much longer of a pause than I thought. Oops, my bad. Fix it in post. So much for that SSD. Oh, there we are. And yep, ta-da! We're back on the planet. But things are different. So, yeah, such a great twist that it wasn't about getting off the planet. So we're here. But what's odd is like, I think this is meant to not be more forward in time on the planet. I think it's back in time, because the whole thing is like that the moon was like exploded in the normal one, and here now the moon's like back together, so it's like a proto version. And if you do bother to read all like the lore notes about the different enemies and stuff, they are all called like proto versions of stuff. So pretty interesting. And here I was kind of wondering, like, wait, if I die, do I go back to the beginning of everything? Like, can I get some health, please, before I read the lore notes? No, Kthanos, I can't do anything. And so we have an audio log here, and I think that's kind of the other crazy thing. For you, this is your first time experiencing it, but somehow it's still not. There's been other Selines before and after. There's also kind of like a Nier Automata style thing where you can like see dead bodies of other players, and if you want, you can fight the thing that killed them, and you could potentially get some more ether about it. Here we are, the Echoing Ruins, because this place, it's again sort of a reskin version of the ruins from Biome 1. That was nice of them to give us an upgrade off the bat. And, that's why do they always stick their hand in the weird things in sci-fi? Well, hey, sometimes it might give us some good stuff, right? I mean, they made a little less sense in Soma. There was some very ominous looking things he was sticking his hand in. So here we go. I've got the Electro Pylon driver. Definitely one of my favorite guns. This one is like you fire it and it's like a sticky mine, and it like sort of or wait, no, did I switch it up? No, sorry, I had the Electro Pylon driver, and once again I switched out for the carbine. Because it has leech rounds, right? Oh, wow, that was not fun. The leech rounds, right, again, heals you when you're killing enemies. And if the enemies have shields, you need to melee them. And you have a shadow dash, right? Like your iframe dash. But you can only use it so much, right? The dash recharges. Oh, that's a big guy. So there, I stunned him, right? So you gotta time your dashes carefully because you can't dodge through too many attacks. And there's a lot of big nasty guys in these areas. Like I think I mentioned it before, but some of the mini bosses you go to fight in these areas later on are actually more difficult than the actual bosses. bonus when the big black hole circle thing's coming up, because it means that a big guy's spawning in, right? And yeah, they don't mess around because they can jump quite fast and quite far. Oh dear, here he comes. He's strong. That's a nope. Yeah, this area, there's like this music theme playing throughout, and it's I was like hearing it, I'm like, it sounds like the Interstellar soundtrack. And then you find an audio log from Celine singing a song, and I'm like, oh, it's like a weird variation on the verse of Don't Fear the Reaper. Like, hey, you don't get a shield. That's mine. So yeah, again, you kind of want to play to the weapon you have, right? I've got a slow-firing weapon that heals me, so I want to, not dodge into the undodgeable beam and keep my distance. You see, I haven't really used the pistol much, so I don't have things leveled up for it. But I got myself some nice goodies out of it. So here we go. We're now ascending the tower, ascend the spire, and like the music's getting louder, and there's this Interstellar soundtrack, but it's also the all our times have come, here, but now they're gone. The verse from Don't Fear the Reaper. Oh yeah, keep an eye out for oblates anywhere. There's like the little blob things. You can run through those and it gives you stuff, and sometimes you even find parasites and artifacts in there. I was trying to wonder, is that a goodie worth jumping to? I don't think so. No goodies over there. Oh, and keep an eye on your mini-map. It'll help point out things that are hidden, like it shows literally everything, like calibrators, weapon proficiency stuff. And so I'm like, oh, yep, that is indeed a boss fight area. Also, try not to aim too much in the game. Like, you don't really need to aim, you can just free aim. I really only aim if I'm going to use the secondary fire on a gun. So yeah, this dude, he's just jamming out, right? He's like, come on, man, I just want to do my Hans Zimmer version of Blue Oyster Cult. But we're trying to get some shut-eye here, and I can't do that when you're jamming that orchestral racket, so you must die. And this is definitely the moment where you feel like Celine's got a weird obsession going on, and like, what's the significance of the Blue Oyster Cult song? And what's this about? Like, this is where I was really kind of getting the whole, like, metaphoricalness to it, right? And this guy's Hyperion, and again, I'm sure it's another reference of sorts. I remember reading a Reddit theory, like, where someone broke it down, like, the name of each boss and what that boss is and what they represent. Yeah, so again, I'm sure there's a thing, but it's been a while since I played this game, so I don't fully remember it all. But yeah, it's definitely a fun fight with a cool theme to it, and I like how it's not until after the first phase that he's like, alright, that's it, I'm coming out. And then like throughout the fight, like he goes back to the weird plant flesh organ and like starts playing, and like the song picks up more, and the bullet hell gets crazy. It just rains down on you like it's ending E. Yeah, a very, very fun fight. This might be my favorite. I don't know. It's hard to rank. Like, Phrike's a good first boss. Ixion is neat. A cool arena. Nemesis is definitely a fun thrill ride. That third phase, man. This fight is just all kinds of cool. And again, Hans Zimmer does Blue Oyster Cult. Great addition to the fight. And there's only one more boss after it, and he's not that great of a fight, because if you have made it to the final boss, well, we'll talk about that. I won't have much time to talk about him, though, because it'll be a short fight, if you know what I mean. But yeah, this song, the Blue Oyster Cult song, Don't Fear the Reaper, it's playing on the car radio in the end cutscene, and in one of the house sequences you can just play it on a vinyl player, and it just plays out the whole song. And I remember during that house scene I actually just sat there listening to the song, because I didn't know if the sequence was going to end when I went out of the room, and I didn't want to miss the song. And yeah, you get some absolutely crazy attack patterns in this third phase. Real fun stuff. And I love how throughout the fight he just becomes more and more obsessed with trying to get you to stop interrupting his recital, man. And then he does this cool thing. It again reminds me of Cyber Demon in Doom 2016, where he narrows you into a passageway. That's a pretty fun bit. And there he goes, back to the organ, back to the music. It's a great fight, great fight. Yeah, the aiming in this game, so it uses the adaptive triggers on the PS5, so they can be programmed so that you can have resistances to them. And I thought, well, how's that exactly going to work? Well, it basically means that your L2, your aim button, it feels like it has two different presses to it. Like you can press it halfway, and that's to aim, and then all of the way activates your alternate fire. So I think that's pretty cool. It actually works quite seamlessly. It's pretty fun. People have also recommended remapping your dash button to R1, I think, so that you don't have to take your hands off of the analog sticks. Oh, and not so superhero land. Sort of. But I didn't do that because I'm just so used to, instinctively pressing circle as dodge, because Dark Souls has reprogrammed my brain. Now here we go. There's a gateway. Here we go. We're going through the gateway to the the frozen wasteland. This better not be reindeer hellscape from Dark Souls 2. Yeah, ooh, what spooky wonders await us in this new area. Well, descending into the abyss, that's what. So yeah, this area, I'm like, okay, this is a mini boss fight, absolutely. And I can see there's the hologram of a dead suit, so somebody died to a mini boss in this room, and hopefully it will not be me as well. And I see this guy, and I'm like, oh, he's strong. Yeah, this is an interesting area, this one, because, so again, a lot of the area, it's similar to, I'm gonna call it the Demon Ruins, but, it's the fire area and stuff, which is apparently on the other side of the planet. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it used to be a frozen place. There used to be trees here. And it's interesting because, when you get into the area, the gateway to the next place, it's literally right in front of you, but it's locked behind 3 keys. And you've got, your store and your regenerator and all those things right there in front of you. So it's about going out and exploring 3 different segments of the map to get the keys to unlock it. The Dreadbound. Yeah, that's a fun gun, alright. It's funny enough, I remember using it a lot, but then I'm looking at all this footage and everything I saved, I was just using the carbine. Anyway, so we're through. Oh, that's not as epic of a jump I wanted. The Frozen Waste area, it doesn't have a boss fight, actually. It does have a mandatory challenge room, though, and that can get pretty difficult. So here we are now. What is this like abyssal plane, fractured abyss, abyssal scar. What's the name again? It's something ominous like that. And it's got a whole bunch of suicide explodey guys. If you look to the left right now, I think that is the pathway that would lead you to where you would get the data cube on this level. The elusive data cube. Oh yeah, there it is. It's up there. But I don't know, had I unlocked the ability yet? I'm not sure. Oh, no, maybe I had. I'm confused as to what order I put this footage in now. But yeah, this is the elusive data cube in the abyssal area because it's randomly generated whether or not you're getting at the data cube area. But it would be up there because basically after you beat the game, you're going to unlock a special data cube in each area, and you have to go find that data cube and process it. And after you've done all of them, you have to go do one final sequence in the house, and then you can beat the final boss, and that gets you the real ending, the secret ending. So here we go. This is the big challenge room in the final area, and this ain't easy. I mean, one thing that's kind of nice in this area is there's the spawners, right? The regenerators, the necromancer guys. They infinitely spawn these suicide bomber guys, but they're very weak. They literally die in like one hit. So sometimes I like to farm the traits for weapons by just finding a guy and then just going crazy with all the regenerators. And again, I'm not showing too many of the guns here because I kind of stuck to my favorites, but once you level up some of the guns, there's some really fun traits. Like, I love the rocket launcher, that one's great. The shotgun's good. Dreadbound's a lot of fun. Hollow Seeker's great. Electropylon driver. Again, there's the elusive Rotland Clobber, whatever it is. I never really saw that one. There's this other one. I forget what it's called. I only saw it after I beat the game, but it was like some kind of like disc launcher thing. And that one was like actually pretty good because I had an ability. That was the gun where I had the ability that a reload did a static discharge, and that gun is you have to reload after every shot. So it was a very good combo to have. And now that we're in the final wave, this is where this guy above me right here, I know he has some kind of a weird fancy name, but I call him Gyarados. These guys are freaking Gyarados. Why? Because Gyarados is a real crazy difficult Pokemon, right? He's a big water serpent lizard thing. That's what this guy is. And this guy will wreck your shit. If I had to pick a single most difficult enemy in the game, it would be this guy because he shoots very fast malfunction projectiles at you. So he's giving you malfunctions. That's bad. And he swims around very fast and has a huge high damage melee attack. So it's basically just two things where you don't want to mess with him. Far away, he'll malfunction you, and up close, he will melee you, and he does a lot of damage. So, yeah, he's not to be messed with. I call him a Gyarados because of that. But yeah, this area, definitely really cool. Love the creepy Cthulhu, Lovecraft vibes of going down into the abyss. Some more connections to stuff I like. And also, this is about dashed too early. That was a bad call, because I have fall damage on. So it's a fun gun, because you can also like tag enemies and then watch them like destroy each other. Here we are, and the final boss of this weird Lovecraftian game is basically an eldritch being. He's basically a Cthulhu monster. So you know what? I dig it. Pretty cool final boss design. And yeah, what's his name again? Ophion. I want to say opium. Ophion. So the trick with this boss is you just unlocked an ability where you can shoot the blue projectile and it reveals new info that you couldn't see before. And you need to shoot the spheres around him to unlock the weak points around his body. And you can see it's like the little red pulsating bits, you know. Classic video game design, right? Nothing too fancy there. I couldn't really fully realize, though, that you had to specifically shoot those. I thought, like me just shooting the bits around was enough. So you can see I'm not actually really doing much damage to him, and I realized this ain't exactly the best gun for the job, right? This is funny enough, this was probably my longest fight against this guy, because every other fight I literally wreck him in like under a minute. And I saw footage of people doing that. I was like, how do you kill the final boss in like 30 seconds? And then I got good and I realized it. And it's basically like, at this point in the game, right, you should have played through 3 whole biomes. Your weapon proficiency will easily be at max. And you most definitely should have like a super upgraded weapon. And like all of the cool new guns have been unlocked by now. So, you know, you're basically prepared. It's like, I don't know if it's the best way to put it, but you know, it's like the final boss in Dark Souls games is not necessarily the most difficult. Like, it's a tough fight, but it's not like the super big one. I don't know what I did there. I think I was activating a consumable, but then I just stood there. Again, it's like 6 months since I actually recorded this. Me recording the audio. Don't ask me why. Could you elaborate on why you stood there in the beam? No. I mean, I will give this guy credit. He's definitely got like the most out there of the bullet hell things, but also there's kind of like so much to it that a lot of it's very like slow and intentionally a little more straightforward to dodge. And here, I don't know what he's doing. He's like pulling a Terminator 2 and turning himself inside out. I don't know. But yeah, again, you'll see later, because I'm going to show you the one ending cutscene and then the real ending cutscene. And I'm not even sure what either implies. Like, not that it was all a dream, but that like it did all happen. And then Celine was called to this planet and given her dreams of becoming the astronaut, but she had to give up her child. Much in the same way that her mother gave up her. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a crazy final phase, isn't it? And I was trying to remember, like, did I have an astronaut figure here? I can't remember. But see, once you get the globs down in the right spot, or the pylon drivers, you can wreck them quite fast if you're actually shooting the weak points like I wasn't here. And you notice there, I picked up a health, and that's because there's like a bit of rock near the back of this area. And I don't know if it has to be a certain phase of the fight, but you break it, and then it gives you health, so there is a free health pickup in this fight. And there we go. I did it. Come on down. Release me. Avenge me. So there we go. We're sinking even further into the depths of our mind. But first, oh, a data cube machine. Finally. Oh, this is where I put a data cube processor. If I had one. Oh dear. Yeah, that's the annoying thing about the data cubes. It's like, first you have to find the thing that gives you the data cube, and then you have to go all the way through the area and beat the boss, because the processor for them is always either after the boss or right before it. You know. And oh, there's a light here. What's it gonna be? First we got another cryptic audio log. Fatal crash. I'm like, yes, the crash. Is it gonna be a car crash? I think it's going to be. What's like coming from? It's a car underwater, but we can't get inside. Interesting. What's gonna be around the final corner? Oh, let's find out. This game's very pretty. I like it. It's great visuals. And oh yeah, that's the weird goo mass from earlier, and that looks like a brain. We finally reached the brain of the operation, but it's our brain, I think. Guys, we're gonna get visions from weird Cthulhu monsters and stuff, and yeah, this guy. We always see this guy, and I don't know. Is that Thonos, or is that Prometheus? That's not her mother. That, again, my Returnal lore is a little sketchy. But so yeah, now I'm like, aha, yes, everything shall now be revealed to us. Everything is going exactly as planned. It is as how I foreseen it. I'm like, is the song gonna be Don't Fear the Reaper on the car? And yeah, it is. The other thing I also noticed, oh, there's the octopus plushie, is the time, right? I think the time on the radio is like 8:33. I was noticing in all of the house sequences, there's all this like 8:33 references, right? Like, oh, put your dinner in the microwave for 8 minutes and 33 seconds. And you know, like, oh, I tuned the radio to frequency 833, and a bunch of stuff like that. Yeah, again, I'm sorry I didn't show you the house sequences, because again, I wasn't necessarily going to have a video on this game, but or 836, sorry, not 833. But jump scare. There's an astronaut in the middle of the road. Oh no, it's turning into E.T. But yeah, the house sequences are really great. It goes first person, gives you very PT vibes, very PT in that way. And some of them are actually like pretty creepy. There's like the one where you're playing as the kid, and like the camera zooms out, and it's like you were playing the game, and like the PS5 is just sitting there. Like, that definitely threw me for a loop. So I'm like, is the weird Cthulhu tentacle guy, or is that like the Dunwich monster, Yogg-Sothoth, or whatever? I don't know, but I guess he like granted her wish. Yeah, I'm uncertain. device in the cargo bay that lets you switch between worlds 1 through 3 and worlds 4 through 6. And I'm just going to show you, there's my stats. I beat the game with 8 deaths. So you're thinking, wow, that's not much. I'm like, yeah, because here's the thing. I like this game, and I think the difficulty is a good level. But once I got past Phrike, the first boss, I think I died like once or twice in the second biome. And then, after I beat the second boss, I never died again for the entirety of my run up to beating the game. I mean, after that I died a few more times, here and there, some random ones, doing stuff. You know, sometimes a death is unavoidable if you, there's those little random rooms you can drop into. And if you pick one in the very first one, it throws you in with a purple enemy who just shoots purple lasers all over the place. Well, and I've got a starting pistol. Yeah, you're kind of been set up for death there, right? So yeah, I don't want to just be the guy that says, you know, get good, scrub, but that is definitely a good chunk of it. Because once I got through the first 2 biomes again, I never died again. Not trying to brag, just you saw the stats. That's how it is. So here we go. Now I'm going to show you how quickly you can melt the final boss. Once again, got the good old carbine, and I paused for some reason there. And I don't know if I even took any damage. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. And yeah, you just expose the weak point and just keep shooting and reload. And yeah, there you go. That's second phase down. Like, how long has it taken me? Like, what, 30 seconds at this point? Yeah, I literally saw a video where a guy melted him in like 45 seconds with the Dreadbound. It's just, you have very high weapon proficiency, a gun with lots of upgrades to it because you've been using it so much at this stage in the game. And you have so many like artifacts and suit upgrades, like upgraded health, upgraded damage, all that sort of thing. So it just literally, this guy's a cakewalk if you come in here with the right setup, which is not too difficult to acquire. But first, here is where I would put a data cube, and I actually do have one. Yay! I'm so glad that this game could give me this upgrade right at the very end when I don't need it anymore. Oh, reduced alt fire cooldown. Okay, yeah, that's a thing. All right, into the drink we go. So yeah, what I did was you go back through each biome and you find a special area that has a data cube in it, and it'll be like a weird special one with a different name, and then you go and process that data cube, and then you go back to the house and it has a new segment for you, and it shows that you were operating some kind of turret that like shot down your ship. Very odd. I still don't have all the ciphers apparently. It's just RNG. And after all that, we have the key to unlock the car. And this gets you the secret Nemesis, like some Donnie Darko sort of thing. Like, you know, he ended up in a cycle, and the whole point was for him to understand why he had to die. Because now we're seeing the same thing play out. There's the car crash and she gets free. We see her here. But maybe is it this time that she swims free herself and she doesn't accept the tentacle monster's offer, and she learns to move on, perhaps, from Helios. I'm not sure exactly. And then my favorite touch for it is when the credits rolled for the first time after the normal ending. It had orchestral music, the score, but when the credits roll for the final time, it plays Don't Fear the Reaper. I'm like, what a great way to end a game. You know, they really decided, let's end this game by just playing one of the best songs of all time. You know, and that's Don't Fear the Reaper, right? Those guys in Blue Oyster Cult, they really woke up one day and were like, screw it, let's write the best song of all time, right? Okay, Don't Fear the Reaper is not my favorite song, but like, it's a pretty darn good one. You can't lie. And like, I haven't even mentioned the cowbell in that song, man. The cowbell. You can always gotta have more of it, right? Ha ha ha. Yes, obligatory joke. In all legitimacy, it's a great song. And then they were like, what if we just take that song and we make an entire game around it? I'm like, yeah, sure, that'd be a fun thing, I think. And so they did, and so it was, and so it is, and now we have Returnal. So the credits for this game are quite long. We'll see if I can figure out some stuff to say throughout the credits, stuff that I haven't said already, or things to talk about, you know? Yeah, I really loved this game. I haven't played too many new games lately. There hasn't really been anything catching my eye. It's all stuff that is still, you know, a little while away, like the Dead Space remake, which I hope they don't screw it up. And I'm not gonna rush out to get that on day one. I wanna hear a little bit about it first, you know, like, does it have microtransactions like they said they wouldn't, but who knows? And you know, is it a buggy mess, or is it something where they're gonna patch it up later, right? Stuff like that. Obviously there is Elden Ring, the new Souls-like game from Software, the company we love to hate. I obviously will be playing that as soon as it comes out, but of course the big thing with that is, you know, it's gonna be a difficult game, so, you know, who knows how long it's gonna take for me to play through it. And I think I was talking about this in some of my other videos, but like, it looks like there's a lot of bosses in that game. And I'm like, do they just have it so every kind of slightly tough enemy gets a big boss health bar? Like, is it like Sekiro, where it's basically like every room is a mini boss fight and then little bits around it? There's so many mini bosses in Sekiro, right? That's why that video is like 4 hours long. Not because there's so much to say, but just because there's so many mini bosses. So we'll see how that goes, but obviously that's the main thing. And then I can play lots of older games on my new gaming laptop. I've been messing around with that. It's been pretty fun. I kind of want to maybe, I don't know, I did everything Dead Space, but I have Alien Isolation on the gaming laptop, and maybe I could do a video on like the DLCs and the survivor maps. That is, if I want to subject myself to that kind of insanity, because there's those two salvage mode maps simulation, and those are really difficult. Yeah, I've done both of them once, and I don't know if I ever want to go back because they're quite stressful. But yeah, let's talk about the game we're actually here for, Returnal. Yeah, it's a great game. It's a fun game. The way the controller is used in this game is so cool, because we talk about haptic feedback, and you hear people say that like the new controller has haptic feedback. The haptics on this controller are so cool and stuff, and like, what does it mean? Well, it just means that like the vibration to it is just so specific in different ways that's really cool. So like you can feel like raindrops on the controller. Like it just vibrates in a certain way that makes it feel like raindrops are hitting it. And it just seems to feel different when you're walking on different territories, and like there's a very small but significant vibration that happens to let you know that your alt fire has finished charging up again. And yeah, like you can push or pull the left trigger, L2. You can pull that in two distinct pulls to it, a halfway one for aiming and a full pull to activate alt fire, and it just feels like normal. So all little subtle bits like that. And then I also have like the 3D headphones, and the 3D sound is really good as well. Like in those house sequences, there's a bit where you hear someone running on the floor above you, and I like literally like pulled my headphones off, like someone upstairs right now. Like, oh, they are upstairs in the game. So the audio, absolutely great. Visuals, just, yeah. If this is like, a real highbrow next-gen game, then I'm all for that. Then this is such a great game. And like, there's the question about the PS5, like, oh, is it worth getting right now? And should you get a PS5 just for Returnal? Like, well, you shouldn't get a console just for one game. But I feel like with pretty much any console of the last several generations, there's enough really good games on each one over time to justify the purchase of said console. So I'm really liking the PS5. Demon's Souls is awesome, really great, a fine improvement on the original in most ways. And then Returnal is a great game as well, a lot of fun with it, and the roguelike elements mean it's got a lot of replayability. I was at a time trying to grind to like unlock all of the trophies. I haven't really done that as of late. We'll see if I go back to it a bit. I remember I wasn't really in the mood for playing anything new. Then I came back and played one round. In the first room, had a giant purple enemy, and he just spammed purple lasers at me and like killed me in one hit. So that was fun. But yeah, my big complaint was the whole not being able to pause your run, and they've addressed that issue and they've fixed it. So that's good. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And there's a photo mode, so you can enjoy all of the pretty cyan colors and like the magenta and the particle effects and all that. Like I say, all the enemies look like they're gaming PCs going super cyan. Super Saiyan, Super Cyan, right? Yeah, it's a fun joke. Yeah, and it's got a real cool story to it, like, so it's cool that you could get multiple interpretations out there's only so many ways I can say that this game is fun and really good. So basically, yeah, don't buy a PS5 for one game. But if you have a PS5, then like you definitely should be picking up this game because it's a great one. And again, it's just a smorgasbord of so many cool elements from games that I like. Doom, Dead Space, Dark Souls, and then the visuals like Alien and Prometheus, like so many cool elements of that. Yeah, this game was definitely, like, that's the thing, this game was made for me. Yeah, this game was made for me. I feel it's just checking all the boxes in all the right places. I'm not sure if this would warrant like a sequel or to become a kind of franchise. I kind of like it to just be what it is, as it is, Like, games don't have to be franchises, right? Like, I'd be okay with maybe like a spiritual successor of sorts. But like, that's what I liked about Sekiro. It just felt kind of so retro, and then just like, here's a game and there's no DLC and that's it. It's just, there's the experience. Though the Way of Tomoe DLC would have been cool. Oh well. I hear they updated that one so you could write messages, but I never played it with that new update, so oh well. We'll see. But yeah, that's the game. I don't know, we still got like just under 7 minutes to go here. What else can I say? I don't know. What game should I play next? Well, Elden Ring, obviously. There's another PS5 game that I have that I need to make a video for. It's one that most people I don't think are going to care about or watch, but they should, because it's a great game, and it's simple, and it's fun, and it's wholesome, and it's such a nostalgia trip in a very, very good way. So that'll be a thing at some point. And now the problem I have with having a gaming laptop is, cool, I've got access to all these games and all these fun things. Which one do I do first? Because that's a lot of commitment. And I still never finished playing through the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Because that's also a lot of commitment to those games, and I don't know where to begin on those videos. How am I going to do that? You can make like a 4-hour video on some of the DLCs alone, let alone the main game and DLCs and all that stuff. I don't know. Like, I feel like BioShock is kind of calling to me because it's the poster in the background of every one of my videos, so, I guess you could say I'm a fan. I'm something of a Bloodborne. I'm something of a BioShock fan myself. And then I've got my live action videos that I enjoy doing, but not as many people watch because they care about the gameplay stuff. That's how it is, I understand. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not really sure if I could get something for these last few minutes. Maybe I'll cut it off. I'm just rambling at this point. I mean, I'm always rambling, but it's a little more incoherent. Oh, well, we didn't get that King Gizzard album at the end of the year like we were promised because Timeland is cursed. That's nice, I guess. Oh well. And I'm just playing lots of guitar lately. That's fun, with all those fun effects pedals I had in my effects pedal video. And I'm still not sure if I'm gonna post anything that's normal music related. I don't know if people care about that enough. That'd be a thing. Maybe. Man, they get you up on stage to talk for 4 minutes, and it just becomes quite the arduous task, the arduous journey. Yeah. I don't know if you made it this far again. I'll take game recommendations if they work, because the thing is I don't want to play too many games that are new for me that are just about story, because then I have to feel like, you know, I'm on camera the whole time, like when I'm playing it, like, you know, like showing, oh, this part of the game and this part. It's nice to be able to just play it and experience it as is. But I know I need to make a video on Silent Hill 2 so that they do a proper remake of it, because that's my curse as soon as I go and get all my tech together so that I can make a video on an older game. They come out with a new version of it. I did Dead Space, and then they announced the remake. I got the capture card to do Demon's Souls, and they announced the Demon's Souls PS5 version. I got the Mass Effect. I started doing Mass Effect 1 on PS3, and then they came out with the Legendary Edition. Yeah, that's just how it is. If I make one on an old game, they'll come out with a new one. But they haven't announced any kind of sequel to Alien Isolation yet, and I put out that video already, so that's a little disappointing. A little disappointing indeed. Anyway, I guess we're getting kind of close to the end, and I've still been rambling for a while, so we'll start wrapping this up. I apologize that this is not as quote-unquote professional as some of my other videos, because I didn't think it was going to be a game I'd play to make a video on, and then it would have felt weird for me to have some of the cutscenes saved and some of the house sequences, and I didn't have the others, and at that point in the game, the early game had given me enough frustration that I wasn't planning on deleting my data so I could see all the opening cutscenes again, you know. I think you'll forgive me for that. But you still gotta see some cool bosses and a little bit of each of the biomes, and I think I said everything I wanted to say, right? It's not too much to it when it comes to ranting about the game. So yeah. And yeah, you guys are obviously awesome for watching all my videos, so